Um, so next up, we do have a panel that's going to be joining us. This is what we're calling our OnBase super user panel because these folks are definitely super users. A lot of y'all are, but these guys have been. We've been working with these folks for quite some time. They have a wealth of knowledge and experience to share with us, and we have a few here with us in person, and we also have a remote presenter joining us. So let's go ahead and pull in April Johnson from the University of North Florida. And then here live, we're going to welcome Aaron Friesick and Greg Woods, Kim Hammers, and Shelly Lincoln up to our stage. Thank you, guys.
Are we on? I think we're on. Well, welcome. I'm excited to be able to moderate this forum with these experts that we have here in person, and also April on the online side. So what we'll start out with today is, first of all, I'd like all of our panelists to just talk a little bit about themselves, introduce themselves, and then I'd like you to talk to us a little bit about your organization. So tell us about what your organization does, and just a little bit about the team that you have there working for it. So we'll just start here.
My name is Kim Hammers. I'm an IT application analyst at Poet. I've been at Poet for 12 years. I have been an OnBase administrator for 4 years. I'm the only OnBase administrator at Poet, but I also have a team. I have a system administrator, 2 developers. One is API certified and the other one is getting API certified. I have 2 application support analysts. One focuses on HR systems and the other one focuses on everything else. Yeah, I'll let Greg talk about the organization. He is also working at Poet.
Yeah. I don't think so.
I don't think
I'm Shelly Lincoln. I work at Enovis, formerly DJO Global. It's a medical equipment company. I am a senior manager of business applications, and I've been at the company 20 years. I have 3 engineers that report to me, all system certified admins, and one is API certified.
I don't know why. Well, there we go. It's working. Thank you, guys. So Greg Woods, I'm the CIO at Poet. I've been there for just about 4 years. It'll be 4 years in July. And we've got Kim obviously kind of talked about the team that we have that supports OnBase. Poet is the world's largest biofuel producer. And so as our founder and chairman likes to say, we take the sun, the soil, and the seed, and we do something good with it, and we put it back in the earth. And so we've got 33 locations kind of across the upper Midwest and kind of north central region, and we have the capacity or the ability to produce up to 3 billion gallons of ethanol every year. And so as byproducts of that process, we also have distillers grain and corn oil and other things that we kind of market all over the world. It's quite a fascinating business. My background has always been in financial services, and so to go from banking to an ag company like this has been really unique. And so, but we've done some good stuff with OnBase, and so I'm sure we'll kind of get into that. And happy to share.
Yeah, how about April?
Hi, everyone. April Johnson. I'm with the University of North Florida. I am the Director of Enterprise Applications. And so document imaging, we use OnBase, is one of the applications that we manage for the university. We've been using imaging for quite a bit. We started with Oracle IPM and switched over to OnBase about 7 years ago. And yeah, my team, I have a team of 2, one admin and one developer. We definitely could use some more staffing. Hearing what you all are staffed with, yeah, I need some more positions.
Very good. Thank you, April. So let's, as we talk a little bit about, a lot of us are here because of the OnBase piece, but just in the OnBase world, I know we talked earlier with Nick about just document management and some of the priorities we have around data. Let's start and just talk with each of our panelists around how they're managing data, some of the priorities that they have in their organization around data and around documents, and things that they're working towards, whether that be with OnBase or with something else here. Just talk a little bit about your priorities that you've got within the organization. So we'll go the same way here, and then we'll circle around the other way for the next question.
Okay,
You're up,
so
Kim.
I think kind of the priority that I've been working towards. So when we started with OnBase quite a few years ago, we really only leveraged it in 2 business units. That was HR employee documents and AP invoice documents. And so it was only a document storage system for several years. So when I got brought into OnBase, our focus was really to just grow it as an enterprise solution and demonstrate to the executive leadership team that it can do so much more than document management, right? And so a lot of the projects I focus on are really just showcasing all of the functionality, right?
I'd have to say the same for us is showing what OnBase can do to the rest of the company. One of our priorities right now is contract lifecycle management. We find that we have 18 departments we currently support, and there's 18 different ways to do contracts. And so just kind of coming up with a standardized process for them and showing them all of the functionality as far as search capabilities, keyword sets, and being able to pass information into other systems.
Yeah. How about Greg, from a CIO perspective, how does data management, how do document management play in that world? And
I think for me, with regard to like OnBase, so one of the things we're not utilizing it like we could, right, and taking advantage of it. We're still a very heavy paper-based company, and a lot of just kind of, I'll say maybe convoluted processes around what the business is doing with multiple systems and things like that. And so, in being privately held, excuse me, and not heavily regulated, there's not a lot of pressure on us to have kind of like a data governance, program per se. And so we've really been trying to just kind of push the envelope in terms of data governance and data strategy, and getting some buy-in and backing with that, so that we can say, what, OnBase is built for this sort of thing. It's got automated record retention and retention schedules and all those sorts of things. So I think it's just continually been a challenge for the 4 years that I've been there to just get them to kind of focus on the data and what processes we have to kind of support it just across the organization. So.
Very good. April, how about at the University of North Florida, just in charge of enterprise apps, how does OnBase fit for you guys as part of that enterprise application strategy that you have?
For us, we do a lot of integrations with all of the apps that we manage, everything from our portal to our our housing systems, just all across the board. Everybody, or Slate, which is our admission system. Everybody wants, OnBase is our central document repository or storage software for all of these applications. Even if documents come into other applications, they ultimately end up in OnBase. And so we are at a place where we're doing a lot more integration. We started with it just being for a document repository, but now we've gotten into forms and building out workflows and just a lot of external processes, not surrounded just solely on, we're just storing a document. One area that we're seeing a lot more interest in is document retention, because we've been definitely let's store it and keep it forever, and that's just not feasible. And also, the more data you store, the more your liability. So actually retaining or adhering to some of the retention policies that we're creating and working through that with OnBase.
Very good. Thank you, April. How about maybe we'll start Kim again with, she mentioned integrations. How is Poet taking advantage of some of the integration capabilities, or are you looking at, is integrations a key for you guys as well?
Yeah, that's pretty huge for us too. When Poet started out, we operated 33 business units as separate individual entities, right? So all had their own governing board. And then we made the decision to consolidate everybody under one Poet. And with that, we had the opportunity to consolidate all their business processes and all their systems. And now we're trying to definitely leverage OnBase as our central source of truth for a lot of data, like vendor master data, document management data, and then we're using that to kind of feed other business application systems through integrations. So a lot of integration work going on at Poet too.
Shelley, same thing?
Same thing. We integrate with most of our business systems. OnBase is our central repository for all orders coming into the business. We have several businesses throughout the world, and we integrate with the Salesforce, and we have a homegrown order system that passes information into OnBase, and then we also push information out of OnBase to help set up patients or help set up orders with those systems. So yeah.
Very good. I'm going to take an opportunity here. It's a little bit off script, but I like to have people engaged from the online audience. So we've been talking a little about integrations. I'd like if you could, just in the chat or the Q&A, go out there and put some of the different systems that you integrate with today, or maybe that you'd like to integrate with in the chat. From the user group committee, it'd be good if someone is integrated with application, or you're looking to integrate that, to have an understanding of where other people are doing that or where they'd like to see that. So certainly jump in there to the chat if you're in the online area, put in there some of those applications. I don't know if there's anyone around the room that wants to talk about applications that they've integrated with today. I don't think we have any. We'll talk about that in the Q&A. Certainly also wanted to understand, we will have a little bit of a session here, and then at the end, the Q&A as well. So certainly put in the questions that we've got there. Next on the list is maybe more specific projects that the group has had. So we'll start this maybe with April on the online side. Is there a specific OnBase project that has had an impact specifically to your group that you'd like to tell us about?
Sure. The latest one I would say that was impactful to the university was we created a contract process for our faculty contracts. So they were all handled basically via paper and email. And so we created a unit. Well, I'll give the whole solution. Ultimately, we're doing that via Unity forms and signatures, but we're using several different means to do that. So we integrate a lot with our ERP, which is Banner. And so we're able to get that contract data as an export from Banner. And then we created a C# console app. You could do this with any scripting languages, whether PowerShell, or whatever your scripting languages for your department, for your company. And so we use that data to then create the DIP files so that that data comes into OnBase via an eForm. And then through workflow, we convert that eForm into a Unity form. You can't go straight to an eForm from importing data. And then that email goes out to the faculty member with a link for them to sign. They sign in the workflow process. It goes to the chair, and then finally signed by the provost. And all of that process is now digital, which has been very impactful. And we've been able to even improve the process. For example, originally, there's always the conversation of a digital signature and whether or not it's really a signature or if it's an acknowledgement. So in this case, when we did our first round of fall contracts, the provost, basically it was the provost needed to sign. And so after about 700 contracts, it's like, oh, can we insert a signature? And so we were able to accommodate that with a workflow ad hoc task. So basically our provost will get a link and then he clicks a button and it populates his signature on that form. And so we've had great success. And so that is kind of like how we're doing our faculty contracts. And so because that was just so successful, we're looking at other things that we can do like that to streamline a lot of our business processes.
Go ahead, Greg.
Well, I think I'll let Kim talk about the specific projects, but she had touched on vendor master. I think that's really been huge for our organization, and she can maybe explain a little bit more about it. But one of the problems we had was we have multiple systems of record and vendor data in each and every one of them, and so you could not get a clear picture of like your spend with vendors or the volume of POs and invoices and that sort of thing. And so Kim is really kind of spearheaded things to get that kind of one source of truth for our vendor population and suppliers. And we have so many with 33 locations, and as big as we are, we just have so many suppliers and vendors within the system. So it's been huge, and it's really been fun to kind of watch Kim make progress on it and get buy-in from the business, and explain the value behind all of it, which really is pretty easy once they get what the problem is. So it's been fun.
Very good. Shelley, how about any Envois projects that you'd like to share with us?
Our big project that we did was a homegrown Salesforce integration. One of our engineers used the REST API solution to connect out to Salesforce. We were already receiving orders in from Salesforce into OnBase, but we were running into a problem where our field sales relies heavily on Salesforce to look for updates, look what's going on. If something wasn't sent in via Salesforce, they were not able to see that paperwork. So if it came in via fax or email, so the integration piece came where we relied heavily on our Salesforce developers to create a ping in through the REST API to populate all documents received on a file to prevent a sales rep from calling in or emailing in constantly, did you get this yet? Did you get this yet? So that was one of our big projects.
Very good. I think the Salesforce just note, I think I raised some people's eyes, and I know that we're hearing that more and more. The audience that's here in Lincoln, how many of you today are using Salesforce for some of the work that you do? We've got all the data bankers raising their hand for sure. I know they're probably late on some of the Salesforce entries they're supposed to be doing. I know that I am. If you are using Salesforce, please raise your hand also on the online piece. We're hearing that more and more, just the need to integrate applications like Salesforce and get to your content, being able to quickly go from your account management screens right into the documents that go with those, whether it be contracts or just regular documents, student records, et cetera. So certainly that is an application we're seeing a lot of growth in and a lot of integrations coming through. Kim, would you like to share any other applications? I know vendor management's a key one, but I know you guys are doing quite a few things. Anything else you'd like to share?
Yeah, I'll talk about the controlled documents project that we're working on right now, because it's pretty impactful, because it's the first project where we've got everyone at Poet now in OnBase. Controlled documents, our definition is program, policy, procedure documents, right, that need to have a mandatory review period. And so getting all of those documents into OnBase and saying that OnBase is our master source of truth for those documents has been a huge lift across the organization, but just provides more and more value to OnBase, right? Because everyone's in that system. And all the features that we're using for that project, so the documents are all managed in their native Office format. So we use EDMS, right? A lot of our keyword lists and data sets and everything are leveraged actually through WorkView tables. And for workflow, the approval process, instead of just doing normal workflow, we actually leveraged workflow approval management. We really liked that kind of streamlined some of the workflow configuration. I didn't have to do all the heavy lifting. A lot of it's standard. And we really liked the approval status reporting, because that's all standard out of the box as well. And we implemented full text search. We use document or dashboard reporting. We're doing document retention. And then mobile is on our roadmap, of course, because people want to be able to use these procedures out at the plant, out in the field, when they're actually doing the process work. So yeah, it's using a lot of tools, and it's got everyone at Poet engaged. And so I think that's a pretty impactful project.
I might just add to that too. I'd like to say our jobs as IT people would be simple if we didn't have the people piece, right, that we have to work with and deal with. And if everybody was robots and working with robots, we could really be successful. But the change management piece on what Kim just described has been huge. So it's been, you think about the number of locations, the number of people that need access to those types of documents, and getting them all to buy in that they're going to utilize this solution has been huge, because they're moving from a solution that they've known and you know, like, well, I don't know how much they used it, but they've been using, you know, different systems for many years, and so to move their cheese has been a bit of a challenge, but it's gone pretty well, like Kim mentioned.
Thanks, Greg. That actually leads us into one of the next things. You know, everyone's talked about some of these projects that they've kicked off and how well those have worked. Certainly there are challenges that come up along the way, and as Greg mentioned, change management is certainly part of that. As you think about document management, data management, there are other things maybe that come up. You know, there's challenge that you hit, change management being one of those. I'd ask the panel and just think about what are some of the other challenges that you see, and how are ways that you're overcoming some of those challenges, maybe within your organization, maybe it's within the industry that you're working with, maybe it's the economy that we're hitting right now. Maybe I'll turn this over to April first on the university side. What are some of the challenges you're seeing in this regard, and some of the ways that you're overcoming those challenges?
I'll say one of the things was just apprehension to going digital. People really loved paper at the university. And so the pandemic definitely helped make people a lot more amenable to some of the things that we were wanting to do. And so now one thing that we were able to do was we had a couple departments that we onboarded and created forms for them, and other departments got wind of it. So it's like almost like doing that advertising. And it's like, oh, you were able to get that? Oh, those are things that we can do. And so I think after visually seeing other departments go through things, that absolutely helped with our buy-in and people's flexibility into transitioning some of their processes into digital ones.
Shelley, maybe we'll start with you on the live side of some of the challenges or overcoming those.
I kind of led into that with contract lifecycle management. We currently have 18 different departments we service with our OnBase client, and each department has its own way that they want their contracts configured, and maybe they have 5 different sets of contracts or so on. And I've been working with Dawn and Brad and our CIO to come up with what is a standard contract set that we will implement, and then beyond that, what is the custom pieces that the business will be responsible for. So just kind of coming up with a global standardization of, hey, these are the 5 contract models we have. Beyond that, you will be responsible for something. And then on top of that, we're on our 3rd CIO in the past year, so that kind of adds to it because I have to re-explain the whole project.
Greg, any comment on that?
Yikes. Hey, what do they say? The tenure is 3 to 4 years, I think, for most CIOs. So yeah, not in your case, Shelley. I think just we've talked a little bit about it, and some of us were discussing it earlier before the sessions began, but we all support so many systems that all do similar things, and so our goal has been with OnBase is to say OnBase has the first right of refusal because we own it. So rather than going out and buying some other application that maybe does it 1% better, why don't we just focus on what we own and understand what we own and utilize it better? And we've got the resources to support it, and so it's really just kind of just taking a look at OnBase and making sure that we're leveraging it to the best we can.
Well, Kim, talk a little bit about that. I know Greg talked about the knowledge and understanding what you know, and how does Poet go about learning about the system and learning about what's new about it? How do you guys educate yourselves, or what do you look for to make sure that you know what's going on with the system, how it's growing, et cetera?
Learning about OnBase.
Yeah.
So I use all of the training materials that are out on Highland University. Is that what it's called now? Yep. I leverage all of my bank folks, you know, we do staff augmentation. Yeah, I think those are my two main sources, right? The university learning and DataBank.
I think you made a good point there, Greg, just about, you know, you can't evaluate it against something else. You know, it's easy to go out and Google search for what solution does this or that, but it's also understanding what you have. And certainly from a DataBank perspective, we're here to help you with all of those kind of things. So certainly reach out. You know, if you're having trouble finding that information or getting to that information, reach out. We can help you guide in the right way. And we can also connect you with peers like we have today. So certainly, you know, reach out and we'll connect you with all the right resources to get that information, understand, you know, it may be the right fit, it may not be the right fit, but we'll help you get to that point. So the next thing is just advice that maybe you have. So what are some things that you would give of advice just around the OnBase area to the panelists, or not to the panel, to the attendees that we have online and that we have here? So April, maybe we'll start with you again on the remote side. I'm driving the AV people crazy over here in the corner, but maybe we'll start with you, April, on any advice that you'd have for the people online today.
I would say a big contributor to our success has been actually our DataBank reps have been really good. And so a lot of things I'll conceptualize and be able to talk through them with DataBank, and DataBank fills in like the blanks, like, okay, yes, this piece could be here. And then we're able to, so they help architect some of the ideas for us. It's like we always start with a good base and they're able to fill in the blanks, and then we're able to go off and do things ourselves, which has been incredibly helpful to us. Instead of having to start from the ground up on everything. We usually have a big picture idea of what we want, and just so having a resource that helps kind of fill in those blanks has been so helpful. So my one thing that I would recommend is like working with DataBank, your rep, like that, like I said, for us, amazingly helpful.
Thank you, April. Maybe we'll start it with Kim here on the advice that you'd give to the teams.
I think I would say definitely understand the business process that you're trying to improve, and that will just help you then right size your solution. Because I think with OnBase, like there's just so much you can do, but sometimes all you need is a document, right? And I know a lot of us have been talking about contract management, and so we did a project on contract management once, and we had everybody in the room. We were supposed to be building out this entire like contract request module, lifecycle management, approval process, DocuSign signatures, everything, right? Well, we had all come from our own individual business units, and we all managed document contracts differently. We stored them in who knows where. And so we didn't even have a grasp on what the contracts were that we were going to try and manage. And we didn't have the resources to support this whole process. So at the end of the day, we just reset and we said, as a POET initiative, all contracts go into OnBase, and then we'll know what we have, and then we'll regroup and automate the process, right? And so that whole project turned into like one document type, 2 permission roles, a workflow for expiration documents. So understand the business process, understand the request as it, you know, fits into the whole strategic goal, I guess. But
document retention. So anytime you're starting a process or bringing on something new, implement document retention right away. We've run into a spot where we thought we were going to be holding documents forever, and we closed one of our businesses down in 2015. We're at the time period where we can remove the documents, and we have millions that we're working again with Don and Brad to figure out a solution on how we will do that, because we did not have document retention implemented at the time.
I would just build on what April said. I think leveraging your partner, you know, DataBank, is huge. And especially, I think none of us, from the sounds of it, have large on-base, staff, right? So it's knowing when to pull in your partner and what to pull them in for, and just leverage the heck out of them. So I know we have, I think Kim mentioned it earlier, but just leverage staff augmentation and professional services, buckets of hours, and it's really been helpful just to kind of advance some of our projects, but also, expose Kim to some and others within our group to just some additional functionality and ways to do things. So that's been really nice.
Very good, which Greg leads us into the next question or the next kind of topic really well, and that really has to do with staffing. So just amongst the organizations that you work for, has staffing been an impact here? I know coming out of COVID, a lot of us are tired of talking about that. We're seeing a different type of work atmosphere. Some people are still working from home. Some people are back to the office full time. Some of the people have been there pretty much the whole time. But just in general, how has staffing impacted your document and your data management goals? So maybe we'll start with Greg and come backwards through the group, and then we'll end with April for that one.
Kim and I are from South Dakota, and COVID didn't really exist in South Dakota, apparently. That's an inside joke for South Dakotans. All kidding aside, I think we've largely been in the office. I think we had a couple of our executives that got COVID early, and February of 20, and we were back in the office full time like July 6th, I think, of 2020, and haven't supported much in the way of remote work. We try to remain pretty flexible, but just from a staffing standpoint, I recognize we'd love to get Kim some help, and we'd love to just add to the staff, because I think the capabilities around OnBase, we've talked a lot about it. I mean, it's an amazing platform, and we are just not leveraging it the way we could and should because of resource constraints. And so again, just echoing, that's when you can pull in the partner, but of course that's budget, and I mean there's all sorts of things that kind of drive how much work you get done with an OnBase.
For us, we've been lucky with working remote because we were able to add a staff member who's in India. So the remote fill was helpful in that. Otherwise, previous to COVID, we were all in office, and that was the expectation of our IT teams, but this let us expand, and obviously we always want more, but we have been able to add since. So
very good.
I'm not sure if I have much to add. I mean, yeah.
Sure. How about April? How about staffing from the Florida side?
Staffing for us has been a bit of a challenge. To be frank, every time we certified somebody, we lost our OnBase admin. And that certification process is not, it's not cheap. But with being a state university, our salaries aren't as competitive as corporate. And so it's like going through and getting people trained up only to have them leave for bigger offers or better offers with their certification has been really challenging for us. It's like as soon as we get to a place where we're like, yes, we got them trained up, we're ready to start building, it's starting over. So this is our third time starting over. And so that's been painful.
Thank you for that. I think that gets us through our primary topics. So with that, I want to open it up to any of the Q&A that we had come in. I'll look and see if we have it, or Claire, if you have that. Do you have some questions? Sure.
So of course that's going to happen. I'll just take these two. You guys keep them and we'll share. And then, oh, hello. Hey, everyone. I'm not on screen right now. I don't need to be seen, but we're going to take Q&A from our Zoom, and then we'll have another mic going around the room. So I'm going to go check on what we've got going on our Q&A. Okay. All right, we've just had a question come in. We'll open this up to all of our panelists, but maybe this would be a good one for Greg and Kim to answer as well. But if you had your choice of all of the projects on your OnBase roadmap that the business helped draft, which one would you focus on?
Do you have staff that are logged in trying to correct That would be the perfect opportunity to be like, well, why wasn't it ours, right?
Go ahead, Kim.
I never just have one priority. I feel like I've probably got 4 priority OnBase projects going on. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's, you're just wearing so many different hats in my organization, that I'm supporting so many different business units, that I try to just allocate enough time so that no one's yelling at me, you know, like whoever then screams the loudest, then maybe I give them some love. But I definitely have probably 4 priorities going on at any given time. To kick off something brand new though, then that is, we kind of go through like an IT request process, vetting process. What's the value? Who's the stakeholder? Timeline, that type of stuff.
Yeah, I think there's a couple that come to mind for me, that one of them, Kim and Tina from our team had developed some functionality around accounts payable a while back, and we never really got a chance to move on to phase 2, which is really where I thought the benefit and value was going to come in. And as a result of that, because our business moves so fast and they're so demanding, of our resources, they were out looking for new solutions, right? So they wanted a silver bullet that would solve all of the problems within accounts payable. And again, we're supporting so many systems, and we have invoices flowing in and out and everything, purchase orders, and a procurement process that's a bit of a mess still. And so I think that phase 2, if I could prioritize that, I think would be at the top of my list. And then I think Kim had mentioned it, and we've had conversations with Shelley too, just around the contracts management flow, that workflow. And I think our legal team would see a great benefit from that if we were able to accomplish that. But again, it all comes down to resources and time.
Yeah. That question was actually from Tina from the Poet team. So
Tina, you're in trouble when we get back.
She's calling you out there.
Uh-huh,
Thanks, Tina.
She was supposed to be up here with us.
She was unfortunately busy
Pointing at you,
trolling
Tina.
you. Okay, we have another question in our Q&A. So, has anyone started exploring the use of generative AI in combination with OnBase?
No, I haven't.
No.
Shelley says no. We're not. We just got to get some of the basics right before we can start thinking about generative AI. That would be my answer to that.
Yeah. Do any of the panel use some form of source control to manage OnBase changes?
No, I'm the only person making the changes,
yeah.
and so I guess I'm the source control, and I kind of feed all the requirements to the developers. So
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have a ticketing system for our company, and projects, we're supposed to have BRDs included with the project and look at what has the best return on investment. And then sometimes it's just squeaky wheel. So
That works too. Yeah.
in April,
do you?
No, we're not using official source control in the sense of for our development repositories. Yes. So that C# console app that I told you about. Yes, we do for that, but for OnBase proper, not unless it's something that we develop code for OnBase specifically, that we do.
Okay, any questions from our Lincoln folks? Yep, looks like we've got one.
A lot of the solutions and things we've talked about today are big, complex solutions, right? Can you guys each give an example of things you've implemented that are simple, quick wins? Hey, we used a form out on our intranet to solve this problem, because a lot of the customers may not be utilizing workflow or Unity forms today. And that could show them some value along that route.
I think, okay. Reporting dashboards. We had one of our departments, they were losing forms, so a few of their new employees were deleting forms and they'd go missing. So one of our engineers created just a reporting dashboard that said, this is the forms that have been deleted and this is how many have been deleted in this month. So they could just easily click on that and go find them and recover them or not. And then do retraining based on the user that deleted.
Yeah, I'd say that reporting dashboards for us is a quick win too. It's like really you just need a document in the system and then you can show them the metrics on the documents that they're looking at, right? And so that goes back to our contract management project. One document type, one dashboard. It's a quick win, yeah. April?
Yep, I was going to say, April, I don't have much to add.
For us, it's been Unity forms. We've been able to spin up forms really quickly. For example, when COVID hit, they were offering incentives for students to, it was like a gift card or something, for students to report whether or not they were vaccinated or not. And so we were able to, it went from, okay, this is what we're doing, to us spinning up a Unity form in a day, them sending it out in a mass communication to all students filling out that form. And then we created a data feed that automatically went to our card system where they were giving out the $50. And so that process just happened automatically within 2 days. It wasn't a big overhead, but there are definitely a lot of low-hanging fruit that can be achieved with Unity forms.
One other question that's come through online is from Ryan. One big gap with the current POP integrations is that you can't encrypt the query string that is being called. Has anyone figured out a way to accomplish this and make your cybersecurity departments happier seeing encrypted URLs?
No, we haven't. Nope. April, no.
I defer to Aaron.
I can answer that. We do have, our development team has worked with a utility to encrypt those so that the clear text values are not in that string. It just changes that with a hash code there on the link. So there is the ability to do that. Certainly reach out. We can certainly help you through a solution to do something like that in your environment.
Okay. Any other questions from our audience? No. Okay. Well, thank you guys so much. I am going to make my way back onto the screen. But I would like us all to just give a big round of applause for our panel today. Great job. Great job. You guys did it. You rocked it. And we are going to go on a short, hello everyone. We are going to go on just a little bit of a longer break.